Hi, Mridumesh. Thanks for joining this conversation with me today, and I'm so glad to have you here. So, Mridumesh, we have been talking about the current situation caused by pandemic, and you have been in the retail industry for a decade now. You have managed the fashion, apparels, and footwear and whatnot in a leading group of retail companies. And I'll let you talk about that yourself. But the current situation has forced all of us to think different. Across the globe, whether India or in the US, business has come to complete halt and business revenue has come to zero. And now we have to see future, how future is going to unfold for us. How do you see as a retail leader? And what are the measures which you are suggesting others to take, right? So that at least we should understand, we should introspect and see how we should be able to take it forward.
No, thanks, Alak. It's certainly a very unprecedented times for retail industry and for humanity in general. But it seems to have been particularly hard on industries which rely a lot more on human touch, and that's industries like travel, tourism, retail, and hospitality. Also, in retail, so there is a double whammy that the retailers are facing. One is certainly the loss of revenue, which is because there is no footfall, and if you have diversified your channels to include e-com or omni-channel, then you are a bit shielded by the impact. But apart from the loss of revenue, the other bigger problem is the redundancy of inventory, right? Fashion especially is all about newness, freshness. So now that the sales have gone, you have a problem of what do you do with the existing inventory or the order that you have placed. So businesses have to find ways of handling these twin problems. And the good thing is that there is interesting ways that some of the players are adopting, right? So for example, one of the thing is that I kind of changed jobs in between this pandemic, in between this disruption, from an Indian footwear retailer to a Middle East based multi-brand, multi-category retailer, Alshaya. And I've seen response being of different types. So for example, for Alshaya, thankfully today, we can say that we are at around sales is around at 90, 80 to 90% of our planned levels. And that is primarily because of lots of measures that the business has taken to make shopping easy for customers. E-com, which had got fast tracked, and the e-com numbers have got accelerated a lot more. Shop from home kind of facilities have been created. Third party presence on third party websites through e-com has been created. So all that had helped to kind of recover sales. All right. So that's one part of it. The second part of it is obviously it meant that you have to minimize your cost base. So like my boss, our president of the division, he keeps saying that it's possible, it's not possible to get back to 100 of sales, but even with this disruption, it's possible to get to not only 100 but 110 of profit, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, so that's the second way of managing it. Regarding the impact of inventory, because this is a global situation, so you talk to your suppliers, in our case our brand partners, you work with them on mitigating the inventory risk, canceling some of the production orders to align your intake levels in line with business. And then you plan your inward in a way so that you have newness continuously kind of trickling in, right? This thing. And wherever possible, the idea is just like we say that for sustainability of earth, you need to reuse and repackage, etc. Similarly, in retail, given that you have to you have this inventory disruption, wherever possible, you need to repackage, right? Remerchandise, maybe regroup, create interesting packets so that the life of the line can get extended and you can sustain with the same inventory over a longer period of time. So combination of diversify your channels to get higher sales bounce back, minimize your costs so that your profitability can be optimized, and interesting churn of inventory through both realignment of your supply chain, also repackaging of your current inventory packages, right? So combination of these is the way we are seeing successful companies responding to this disruption. And obviously, I think this is also a time for people to think that once this is over, how will your business look like? But because you also need to reimagine, reimagine the business post this COVID disruption, and it will be very different. Every brand, every business leader will have to think what it looks in their context, in case of their category, their country, their channel. But reimagining is equally very, very important.
Right. So very well said. You outlined two major points. One is you mentioned about twin problem of refreshing inventory, because you're in fashion. So obviously, people are more keen to look at the new fashion which is coming in and so forth.
Sure.
Second thing, you also talked about e-com business going upwards, right? So I'm also hearing about the phygital world in the retail, right? So combination of physical stores with web digital stores. And there are some of the paradigm shift which is happening on that. How do you balance it? Are you going to curtail on the physical environment and going to increase on the webcom or e-com environment, so that customers who are used to now ordering products from your smart devices at home, and then fulfillment happening from your nearest location? So are you suggesting that approach? Then also you talked about that, look, supply chain logistics will be opening up very soon. So that will be addressing the gap which you outlined. But the customer behavior, do you think that has been impacted heavily? And what would be the response, how you suggest to change that?
So, Alex, there are a couple of points that you have touched upon, right? So, for example, first is physical versus the digital, right? One of the things I have always believed is that choice. I don't believe in either or choices. I believe the choice is always and. So, people talk of work-life balance. I said, you can't balance between them. It has to be intermingling of work and life. So similarly, if somebody asks you, do you want to be rich or you want to be happy? I want to be rich and happy. So I believe similarly, business needs both physical and digital. So I've been a big proponent of the omni-channel versus a pure e-com or pure physical view. Very clearly, one of the biggest advantages, inventory, which is one of your most expensive costs, right? How with the endless aisle concept of of omni-channel, you are able to use the same inventory to serve a much larger customer base. And getting your merchandising efficient is a big advantage of omni-channel. And for me, e-com, like in India, we have multi-channel retailing, right? So you have your own exclusive brand outlets, then you have shop and shops with department stores, you have a distribution network. So for me, e-com is just one of the fourth channel, one of these four channels, and then you keep balancing between this. So I believe in, I don't know physical, but kind of omni approach, where you should be able to have all the channels active, and depending upon the demands of each of the channel, momentum of each of the channels, some products performing in one or the other, you are able to reroute, your product, etc., from one channel to the other. If you have built that kind of flexibility, that will help you thrive. Because I don't think, this is the last disruption that we are seeing, in the world. Technology, consumer behavior, there will be so many, different disruptions that will keep happening, and therefore you need to diversify, right? Your portfolio. So have a multi-channel strategy, a combination of digital and physical. One of the critical things will be, many people have looked at e-com as a purely sales channel, right? So one of the world is, when people say physical, is that people will have a consumer experience in the physical world, and e-com will be driving purely commerce. I think there's a need, especially for the brand-driven business, to recreate part of customer experience also in a digital world, right? So customer cannot go and touch feel the product in a e-com website, but you can organize kind of live events, etc., where you can explain you can do a fashion show online, for your selected customers through a Zoom call like this. And therefore you can create that customer experience on an online world, right? So, that's the way, physical, can become very, very useful. Consumer behavior will keep changing. And, I think the key success, key success factor, if you're in a fashion business, is not, I don't think, that's about understanding the fashion forecasting. It's about understanding consumer behavior, right? What led to creation of, for example, this whole athleisure as a work category, right? If you would have looked at, how the consumer behavior was changing, right? For example, I believe that emergence of athleisure is very strongly correlated to emergence of SUV as a dominant, or, mini SUV as a dominant, product category within the automobile sector, right? So, you need to keep tracking that. So similarly, right now, how will this whole, COVID disruption have an impact on fashion sensibility? So, some of very shrewd and clever, fashion companies have already kind of curated something called a work from home fashion collection, right? If you log on to e-com websites, you see work from home collection. Probably you realize that, you will be selling a lot more tops and very few pants, because people will be wearing a fancy suit without a pant. So maybe you need to, kind of, adapt to that. And apart from this, there are other continuous, trends, mega trends, which are prevalent, right? So for example, sustainability, has become a big trend. So, and fashion is seen as an antithesis of sustainability, right? So how does, that responsible fashion will become a big, very important factor for your success. I think, brands like H&M, etc., are already responding to it by saying that we are using organic cotton, or, we are working with, ethical factories, etc. There are concepts of, fashion for hire, or, reuse of fashion. I think these are some of the trends for future, which the whole concept of shared economy. How will that shared economy, kind of concept become relevant for fashion? The rent of runway, at what point of time will India or Middle East be ready for a rent a runway kind of a concept? So, that's one of the other trends that becoming, kind of, very, very prevalent. So we'll have to look at, some of these mega trends and keep adapting it. And the best way of it is that within your business, you always need to have, whenever you're doing your annual planning cycle, you should have, lots of bread and butter business, but you need to have 1 or 2 work streams which are doing, fast failure experiments on some of these future trends to kind of tap into it. One of the other ways, I've seen it is also by, especially the large fashion houses, they can do it by collaborating with some of the startups which are doing some of these, crazy idea experiment in the startup space. So if you are not, sometimes large companies, they have their own, bureaucracy and their own way of working. They're not very nimble. So instead of trying to change, get the elephant to dance, probably you can participate with, one of these, more nimble startups, and, learn from them and have a bit of reverse engineering, right? For example, in India, right now, the news is retail, conglomerate like Reliance. They, have bought Zivame. Today, the news is they have bought, NetMeds, right? They acquired, one of the omnichannel startups with which we were also working. So these kind of collaborations can be one way of, keeping in tune with the emerging consumer trends and emerging category and fashion opportunities.